These are some of the most disturbing truths about the crypto industry, arranged in the form of an iceberg. We start at the surface, and the deeper we go, the darker it gets. By the time we reach the bottom, we're talking about genuinely horrifying stuff. Stuff that will definitely shake you up a little if you're in this industry. Let's get into it. Level 1. Rug pulls. A rug pull is when a team of developers launch a new crypto token, build hype around it, attract investors, and then drain all the money and disappear, leaving holders with coins that are completely worthless. The name comes from pulling the rug out from under someone, and it happens more than you'd think. One of the most brazen examples involved the gaming organization FaZe Clan. In June 2021, several of its members, including FaZe K and FaZe Jarvis, began promoting a token called Save the Kids, which was marketed as a charitable coin that would help children in need. Their combined audience ran into the tens of millions of followers. The coin launched, the price spiked, and within 24 hours, several of the promoters had already dumped their holdings. FaZe K reportedly sold around 6 billion tokens in that window, pocketing roughly $30,000. The coin collapsed nearly 70% almost immediately. YouTuber CoffeeZilla tracked the wallet transactions, exposed the scheme publicly, and FaZe Clan ended up firing K and suspending 3 other members. The fans who bought in, many of them were teenagers, and they got nothing back. Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is one of the oldest financial frauds in existence. Charles Ponzi ran it in 1920, promising investors massive returns from international postal coupons. But there were no real returns. He simply paid old investors with money of new investors, skimming profit off the top, until the whole thing collapsed and thousands lost everything. He was arrested, deported, and died nearly penniless. Cryptocurrencies are quite similar, especially meme coins. They have no innate value. The only value is your belief that it has value. So you only make money when someone loses. The net always has to be zero. Level 2. Celebrity promotions. There's a pattern in the crypto industry where celebrities get paid large sums to promote tokens to their audiences without disclosing that they're being paid to do so. The followers buy in, and the developers disappear with the money. The cleanest documented example of this is Kim Kardashian. In June 2021, she posted to her 330 million Instagram followers, promoting a token called Ethereum Max. Of course, her fans bought in, and the coin pumped by over 100,000%. But within just a few months, it went down by 98%. Basically, all of the money gone. The Security and Exchange Commission later found she had been paid $250,000 to make that post and had not disclosed it. Kardashian had to pay $1.26 million in fine. Floyd Mayweather and DJ Khaled faced similar charges a few years earlier for the same behavior. The fines these celebrities usually pay are a fraction of what they earned. Wash trading. The crypto market reports hundreds of billions in daily trading volume. A significant chunk of that is fabricated. Wash trading means an entity buys and sells the same asset to itself over and over to make a coin look more active and legitimate than it really is. It inflates the numbers that regular investors use to decide whether a project is worth their money. Research has consistently found that wash trading is widespread on unregulated exchanges, with some studies suggesting the majority of reported volume on certain platforms is fake. The market you think you're looking at is not the market that actually exists. You're basically flying blind. You're watching prices move, and you have no idea who's actually buying, who's selling, or what the people who actually know what they're doing are doing. FOMO changes that. It's a social trading app where you can see exactly what top traders are doing, which coins they're watching, when they're moving, and what their activity looks like in real time. Link is in the description, and don't forget to use the code DGENStories for 10% off on fees. Level 3. The Quadriga Scandal. In December 2018, Gerald Cotton, the 30-year-old CEO of Canadian crypto exchange Quadriga, died while traveling from complications related to some disease. He was the only person with access to the exchange's cold wallets, the offline storage holding customer funds. The company told customers it couldn't access $190 million in assets. When investigators dug deeper, they found that Cotton had been operating fake accounts under multiple aliases, using customer deposits to fund his own lifestyle and cover trading losses for years. He had bought a sailboat, a plane, and a house. What customers believed was safely held in their accounts had already been spent. Some customers and investigators still dispute whether Cotton actually died, pointing to irregularities in the death certificate and the speed of the cremation. His grave was exhumed and confirmed to contain his body. The money was never recovered. The Terra Luna collapse. In May 2022, Terra USD, an algorithmic stablecoin that was always supposed to stay at $1, suddenly dropped below that, causing panic selling and a rapid crash. Within days, Luna, the companion coin designed to stabilize it, had gone from around $80 to fractions of a cent. The entire ecosystem, which had been worth over $60 billion, was essentially worthless in under a week. The collapse wiped out retirement funds, savings accounts, and mortgages. In South Korea, where the ecosystem had a massive user base, suicide hotlines reported a significant spike in calls. One man reported in the Korean press that he had invested nearly $2.5 million in that ecosystem. He died by suicide shortly after that, and he was not the only one. Do Kwon, the founder who had previously mocked critics who warned that the system was unstable, fled after the collapse and spent months evading authorities. He was eventually arrested and is now facing criminal charges in multiple countries. Level 4. The FTX collapse. For a long time, Sam Bankman-Fried was the face of trustworthy crypto. He was profiled in major magazines, met with senators, donated hundreds of millions to charity, and was known as the good billionaire. In fact, he was also one of the youngest billionaires. He publicly argued that crypto needed to be regulated and held to a higher standard. His company, FTX, was one of the world's largest crypto exchanges and appeared completely legitimate. But behind that image, FTX had been secretly routing billions of dollars in customer deposits to Alameda Research, Bankman-Fried's private trading firm, to cover losses and fund speculative bets. The money wasn't just used for trading, it also funded an extremely lavish lifestyle, including luxury mansions in the Bahamas, expensive investments, and political donations. When it unraveled in November 2022, the collapse took days. Over $8 billion in customer funds were gone. Bankman-Fried was arrested at his home in the Bahamas, extradited to the United States, and convicted on 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. BitConnect. Before FTX, the most notorious name in crypto fraud was BitConnect. It launched in 2016, promising investors daily returns of up to 1% per day, which would theoretically double your money every 70 days. The pitch was that an automated trading bot was generating these returns. There was no trading bot. It was a straight Ponzi scheme. Money from new investors paid returns to old ones. At its peak in late 2017, BitConnect had a market cap close to $3.4 billion. In January 2018, it shut down abruptly. The price fell by 92% in a single day. People who had put in their life savings, many from developing countries, who had watched the testimonial videos and believed them, lost everything. And the man who ran it was indicted by the US Department of Justice for orchestrating such a massive fraud. He is currently a fugitive. The US government has been unable to locate him. Level 5. Silk Road. This is where the story of crypto moves out of finance and into something much darker. Silk Road was launched in 2011 by Ross Ulbricht, a 26-year-old from San Francisco who was also known as Dread Pirate Roberts on the internet. It was the first major dark web marketplace, a place where you could anonymously buy heroin, cocaine, illegal documents, hacking services, and all sorts of illegal and dangerous things. Bitcoin used exclusively for every transaction. Between 2011 and 2013, Silk Road processed an estimated of $1.2 billion in sales. The FBI shut it down in October 2013, arresting Ulbricht in a San Francisco public library while he was logged into the site. During the investigation, prosecutors alleged that Ulbricht had paid $730,000 for paid killing contracts, targeting people who threatened to expose the operation. He was convicted on all 7 counts at trial and was sentenced to life in prison in 2015. Silk Road was the proof of concept that cryptocurrencies could be used to fund crime at scale, and everything that came after it followed the same template. Level 6. As crypto wealth became more and more visible, and people started posting their gains on social media, showing up at conferences, bragging about their wallets, something much darker than just scams and rug pulls started taking place around the world. David Balland. This man was not a flashy figure. He was the co-founder of Ledger, one of the most respected names in crypto hardware security, the company that makes the physical devices people use to keep their Bitcoin offline and safe. In January 2025, a gang broke into his home in central France in early morning and abducted him and his wife. What followed was days of captivity, while the kidnappers negotiated a ransom with Balland's business partner. To prove they were serious, they literally cut off one of Balland's fingers and sent the video directly to his partner. French authorities eventually located and freed both of them in a coordinated operation, arresting several suspects. It was the case that put crypto kidnappings on the front page of the world, but it was far from the worst things that have happened in the industry. Danilo K. Danilo was a 21-year-old Ukrainian student living in Vienna, and by most accounts, an ordinary young man. What he had, or what someone believed he had, was access to a crypto wallet worth targeting. In late 2025, he was ambushed, lured and cornered, and forced into a Mercedes, where his attackers tortured him until he gave up his passwords. Once they had what they wanted, they didn't let him go. They set the car on fire with him still inside. When authorities found the vehicle, Danilo was burnt beyond recognition. A 21-year-old life ended not for a grudge, not for ideology, but for a string of characters that unlocked a digital account to crypto money. The Manhattan Townhouse. Michael Valentino was an Italian tourist in New York. Two men, John Waltz and William Duplessis, kidnapped him and held him captive inside a Manhattan townhouse for 17 days. What happened inside that building was methodical and prolonged. They subjected him to electric shocks. They hung him from the roof. They threatened him with a chainsaw. They poured tequila over his body and set him on fire, then put out the flames by urinating on him. The goal, through all of it, was one thing: access to his Bitcoin wallet, which reportedly held around 28 million US dollars. Karchurin refused throughout. He eventually somehow managed to escape. Waltz and Duplessis were arrested and charged. The case shocked investigators, not just because of the brutality, but because of how long it lasted. 17 days, inside a townhouse in one of the most surveilled cities in the world. These are not random outliers. France alone recorded 18 crypto-related kidnappings in 2024. That number jumped to 67 in 2025. The gangs behind them are organized, and they have begun recruiting even minors as street-level operatives. Young people are used to gather information on targets, spy on them, and assist with abductions, giving the gang leaders a layer of distance from the crimes. The French National Anti-Organized Crime Office now has a dedicated unit that does nothing but track these cases. Security analysts advise high-net-worth crypto holders and give guidance that would have sounded paranoid 10 years ago. Stop posting your wealth online. Use pseudonyms for wallet addresses, vary your daily routines, and never let anyone know what you hold. It's advice that sounds absurd in the context of what is supposed to be financial technology. But this is where the industry is. That's the crypto iceberg. The technology is cool, but because of its decentralized and irreversible nature, it's also used for a lot of dark things, as you saw. If you're into crypto, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Don't forget to check out the FOMO app. Links in the description. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.